Good afternoon and welcome to Finding the Joy in the Journey. I'm Gina Colvario Krupka and I am a licensed practitioner and the spiritual director of CSL Greater Boston. And I am part of this fabulous prayer team on New Thought Media Network, as well as the host of the Peace Circle and this show, Finding the Joy in the Journey. And this show is all about doing just that, finding the joy right where you are. It's not about achievements. It's not about, well, when I get there. Unfortunately, we live in a society that I consider bigger, better, faster, more. It's all about when I get there, or what I call destination happiness. It's not about when I get there. We're already there. All the good that there is begins from inside of us. And when we learn how to look at life differently, we can experience it right here and right now, instead of putting these hoops along the way that constantly go on. Well, when I have the right mate, when I accomplish, when I get out of school, or when I get the right job, or it's not about anything other than the eyes that I see through. So every week on this show, we have different guests that come and help us see that joy a little bit clearer. And I am so happy to have with us today someone that I knew from Concordia, who is a wonderful coach. And Elaine Blais is a professional midlife troublemaker. I absolutely love that. She's a finally first mentor, certified life coach, and women hire Elaine to overcome approval issues that have stopped them all of their life so they can finally put themselves first and create the life and business success they dream of. Her work with clients is based in her own life experience to overcome the disease to please and say yes to herself and her dreams. Today, she is leading a movement supporting women to be bold, courageous, and self confident in the pursuit of their dreams. So, we have a wonderful guest today that I am so grateful to have here. Welcome, Elaine. How are you today?
Thank you, Gina. I'm excited to be here and I'm doing pretty well today. Thank you very much.
I love it. A professional midlife troublemaker. We're
Yeah.
going to start right there. Tell me all about that.
One of the things that I love about coaching and about working with my clients, and one of the things I've really learned for myself is that no one tells us who we are. The job title or whatever it is, whoever we think we are, we get to decide that for ourselves. And so my journey, sort of beyond people pleasing, or to transcend people pleasing, I love the word transcend, has really been an opportunity for me to step into the fullness of who I am, to really own and claim who I am. And I remember as a kid having a little different perspective, perhaps, than my family, and often being told not to be a troublemaker, right? Go along. And I learned to go along. I learned to be a people pleaser. I learned how to get approval by not being myself. And so a number of years ago, talking with another coach friend of mine, we were talking about the things that we were told when we were kids. For her, it was being told not to be bold. And in that moment, I went back to the idea of troublemaking and decided that it's time to embrace it. And so in midlife, in really around 50, is when I started to really change my life, to disrupt the status quo for myself and to create something new and bold and exciting. And so I decided that I am a professional midlife troublemaker. And I help other women make trouble for themselves in their life, or make good trouble in their life.
I love it. I absolutely love it. We, I too was the people pleaser. But for me, it actually ended up more I was always bold, and I was always out there saying and doing things that, I was that person that was, I always have been that troublemaker. And so I particularly appreciate that. I was, oh, and you laugh now and you look back, but the good trouble, that's the kind of, that, um, Mr. Lewis said, you cause the good trouble, you make sure that you are in that place of in really knowing that it's the right thing and following your instinct to do it.
Yeah, that was John Lewis, right? Good.
Yes, correct.
There's also a wonderful author. There's also a wonderful author and someone that I came across as I was really sort of embracing this idea about being a troublemaker, and her name is Lovey Ajayi Jones, and she wrote a book called Professional Troublemaker. And the thing I loved about listening to her, I caught a couple podcasts that she did, and one of the things she says is troublemakers are trailblazers.
Absolutely.
So true, because what we call trouble is just our perception of what someone is up to, what someone is doing. There's, it's the whole concept of right or wrong. It's really neither one is true. It's what you think. It's what you believe about that, how you perceive what's happening.
It's very true. It's funny because it brings me back when I was in high school. It was a long time ago at this point. It was in the 80s, and it is late 80s. And I remember that peer leadership, we wanted to have an AIDS education because it was towards the very beginning of, and we wanted an education week, and they wouldn't give it to us. So I went to the Department of Public Health in Massachusetts and got 1,000 condoms and taped up facts about AIDS cards to each condom, and we gave them out before homeroom. And needless to say, in Boston public schools in the 80s, that wasn't quote unquote appropriate. But the good thing is, one, we got the word out there. Second, we got our AIDS education week. Because now it was out there. It had to be attached to something or they'd look foolish.
Yeah.
So sometimes, and the boldness as a youth, was thankfully not squashed by my mom. My mom, was behind me and things like that. But a lot of us people don't have that person behind them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, a lot of my clients and myself included, boldness was not encouraged.
The gift, though, that our generation is changing. One of the things you and I were chatting about yes, years ago, that it used to be you're not supposed to make waves. Just like the children were supposed to be seen and not heard, women were also supposed to be more in the background. Mm-hmm. That was a man's job, quote unquote, whatever, often was. And it's changed, thankfully.
Well, we're changing it. We're changing it for ourselves.
The story, it's a bold thing that's ingrained, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. It is so ingrained. And one of the things you had on your website that I loved was BS. Can you share with everyone what that means?
Yeah. So one of the things that I include in coaching and that I love to talk about is disrupting your BS. And I consider BS to be beliefs and stories. And I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert that said, I never met anyone that changed their life that didn't get tired of their own BS. And those are the stories that we live in. And a lot of times we're really comfortable in them, or they're familiar. Sometimes they don't even work for us, but they're so familiar that we don't think about what we're really creating for ourselves. All of the but I can't and the why I can't and the reasons that we give ourselves for not stepping boldly into who we are our stories. Whether we're comparing ourselves to other people, I don't have what she has, I'm not able to do it. There was a time when I love Oprah Winfrey, and there was a time when I really believed I could not do what she does. Now, I'm not claiming to be Oprah Winfrey, but I know now that I'm no different. I can be whatever it is I want to be. And that's where we really have to challenge our own beliefs. And that's what a good coach does. She reflects back to you the belief that you have, the story that you're telling yourself, and challenges you to move beyond it.
And often, one of the things that really is prevalent is that we don't even know what the story is.
Exactly.
It's often subconscious. There's that part of us that is still believing something we were told, something we were shown, because sometimes it was the example that was set for us. I was also, my mom, again, back when I was in high school, she started her own barbershop. She was a bookkeeper and said, I don't want to be this anymore. She went to barber school and opened up her own shop, which, in the 80s was a big deal, especially from the very Italian neighborhood that I grew up in. It wasn't like that. Just getting divorced was a big deal, let alone starting your whole life over again. And, that was the example I had. And both my sister and I eventually went on to have our own businesses because there weren't those limits. We believed we could. But again, it's subconscious because that was my example, but it wasn't everybody's example.
Yeah, absolutely true. I often ask myself and clients, I love this story about your mom deciding she didn't want to do what she was doing anymore and opening a barbershop. I often ask my clients, what are you tolerating? We go to work every day, even if we don't like the job, we go to the same job every day. And I realize that just walking away from that may not be possible for everyone, but there is a pathway to doing something that is more fulfilling and to moving beyond what you're tolerating. And oftentimes we tolerate a lot of little things in our lives, something broken in the house or something that needs painting. And or bad coffee, this is a new one for me. I am no longer drinking bad coffee.
I say yay to that.
When we're tolerating those little things, those little annoyances, it's just a representation of bigger things that we're tolerating in our lives. Where else am I doing that in my life in a way that not allowing me or limiting me from really being who I want to be?
When I work with people, because I've been in life coaching for over a decade, and one of the things that I ask I have two main questions that I start with. Who are you and what do you really want? Are the first, that's what I really want to start with. Like, who do you think you are? Who are you really? And what I find is most people don't know.
Yeah.
And they certainly can't explain it. And what do you really want? They don't know that either.
No, it's a question I love to ask prospective clients, just women that I network with. And the most common answer to what do you really want is, I don't know. 3 simple words, I don't know. Because I think, especially for women, we're so trained to be pleasers that we're always trying to figure out what everybody else needs and wants and make sure everyone else is happy and comfortable. And we dismiss the things that we want. We dismiss our own needs and our own wants and our own desires, and we lose sight of what they really are.
We're often trying to wear so many different hats that we feel like we're not accomplishing anything because you can't wear every hat and do it well. I know I had an awareness. I had my own business and I was coaching. I had a full-time job as an office manager and program manager. And I was doing many different, groups and all kinds of stuff while having a home with husband and daughters and trying to cook dinner at night and getting frustrated with myself because it all wasn't coming together. It wasn't happening the way that I wanted it to. And not even dawning on me that I could have them make their own dinner. Not dawning on me that, I can ask for help. it wasn't even in my mindset, because I didn't know how to ask for help. I was told you just handle things. And it was, well, if I can do it, I should do it. I can do it, but I can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah, that's really, really common. Is just sort of, yeah, needing to justify, needing to spend a lot of time worrying about whether we're the best mother, the best daughter, the best wife, we have the cleanest house, whatever it is for you. And sometimes it's all of those things. And never giving ourselves the space to really consider what we want. Because it's okay. It's really okay to let everyone else take care of themselves for the most part. And
when we have small children, it's a different story. But this was not, they weren't small at the time. They were well able to handle themselves. And it was just, the mindset wasn't there to ask for, can you vacuum the rug? Because had I asked, there's no question that they would have helped.
My mother would never have asked for help. She never did. She still does. You know, even as she got older, she didn't ask for help. And now she actually needs help because she has dementia. So it's a really interesting sort of journey for her that she never gave herself permission to receive, to actually receive. She always gave and gave and gave. And so now she has no choice but to be on the receiving end. But the other thing about us as women who do so much to try and keep everyone else happy, in a sense, what we really do is, and we not only dismiss ourselves, we not only put ourselves last, or maybe not even at all on our list, but what we don't realize we're doing is we're implying, in a way, that everyone else isn't capable of living their own lives. So when we free ourselves to receive, to give ourselves what we need, to put ourselves first, we actually give everyone else permission to do the same.
And sometimes they don't like it.
I know.
But you know, there's so much learning as we go along in life. If we're blessed to pay attention, we don't have to keep doing what we were doing before. For me, it really took cancer for me to learn how to ask for help and stop. I didn't know how not to do. I didn't know how to say no to people. I didn't know how to pick and choose. And disease came from the dis-ease of that.
Yeah.
So I ended up with 2 major cancer surgeries, completely down and out and unable to do anything, and had to get help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that is not what I tell people, that you do not want that one. So, you know, at that point, you have to figure out what you need to figure out so that you don't get to the point that it gets you sick at 40 years old, you know? So part of why I do these shows is that people can learn in a different way, but we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention. Well, the other part is not to be resentful. Well, why aren't they doing it? Because where were they when I needed them? I had to look at the fact, and the awareness was, I created these relationships. I created these dependencies. Yes, as a child, I was taught what to do. But as an adult, I am replicating. I am choosing again and again and again. And until I make a conscious choice to choose differently, people are going to treat me the same way. And that was a huge aha. It wasn't their fault. I created that.
And it's not your fault either, right? There's no blame here. It's what we learn. And the more we can become aware of the resentments, the frustrations, all of those, the anger, the fear, the worry, all of those emotions are so important. I think we tend to dismiss the uncomfortable emotions that happen to us. I know as a child, my parents weren't equipped to deal with those emotions. They didn't know how to process their own. So being angry, being frustrated, don't be that way. But every emotion that we have, every feeling that we have, it's neither good or bad. It's neither positive or negative. It's just information. They're guideposts to help us navigate life. So the frustration, the disappointment, the discouragement, the anger, whatever it is that you're feeling is telling you something. It is here for you. You're going to pay attention to it. It's asking you to wake up. It's asking you to look at what you're doing. It's asking you to choose something different.
It's all just information.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's what we do with it. What do we call it? What are we? It's our labels that we put on it. It's all good. Even the seeming loss can be good in some ways. So it's even sometimes the struggles show us the gifts.
Absolutely. I think one of my teachers, coaching instructors and mentors, Brooke Castillo, always says life is 50-50. Because we are here for the adventure of it, for the experience of it. And that means all of it, the joy and the sadness, the laughter and the tears, all of it. We are meant to live, to experience all of it, to feel all of it, because without sadness, we wouldn't know joy. We really wouldn't have any idea what really matters to us without the difficult moments.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention that we are live, so that wherever you are, whether you're on Facebook or if you're watching us from YouTube or wherever you are, that you can feel free to leave us a comment, and we can ask the question right here of Elaine. And if you're just tuning in, we have author and life coach Elaine Blais with us today, and we're talking about being yourself, that true authentic self, and being a troublemaker if that needs to be, or doing whatever it takes to dare to be who you're here to be. And one of the things that I loved on your website is a lot of people don't know what coaching is. And I wanted to, I think that this spells it out very clearly. So I'm going to share this with people, because a lot of times people think of a life coach and either they don't know what it is. And it's a lot more common now than it used to be, but it's also something that it may seem like a luxury or an extra. Do I really need that? And if people are experiencing any seeming less than, it is a case of sometimes what you consider a step back gives you that 10 steps forward. So if you could get out of that mediocre job by investing a little in yourself and get that, what you've always dreamt of, not just to feel that wonder, but also to be making what you're worth, it's an investment in you. We'd make that investment for our children. We would easily make that investment for, whoever and whatever, and the time and all that it goes with it. We would do that for other people, but we have to make sure that we're doing it for ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's sort of like having a personal trainer for your life, right? People go to the gym or hire personal trainers so they can be healthy and fit and live a good life. A life coach is a personal trainer for your life. How do you manage your mind, manage your thoughts, your brain, and in a way that helps you, that serves you, and supports the life you really want to live for yourself? Because most of us, or many of us, are living life on default mode. We think this is the way life is, and this is the way we are. And we wish and we want to be something different or to have something different, and don't think it's possible. But whatever you can imagine is possible.
And it's definitely not luck. People think, well, they're lucky, they were born with, and it's not. It's what you're creating for yourself. So it's knowing that you get that opportunity just like other people get the opportunity, and that you're worth it. So I just wanted to mention that, because sometimes there's a stigma in it. I look at it as a guidance counselor for adults. We go through our whole life as children, through school, and you have that counselor that you go to say, what is it all about? When you turn 18, all of a sudden you're supposed to know. What? There's no manual of life. You don't know more than you did before. If anything, it gets more complicated. And while counseling is wonderful, it has a different place. For those that don't necessarily know what a counselor, the difference is, to me, a life coach really looks at where are you now and where do you want to be. It's not to compare with counseling in any way. Sometimes counseling is needed to get you where you want to be, but that's a different tool completely.
Yeah, they're very different things. The analogy I like to use is counseling or therapy is like archaeology. You kind of have to go into the past and resolve some things for yourself. Life coaching is architecture. You're starting from this foundation and you're building forward. Both of them are necessary. Both of them are valuable. They serve different purposes at different times in your life. I have done and do both.
Absolutely. So it's just knowing what it is so that we take away any stigma or any of the stories or any of the things that may sometimes people think, oh, well, that's not me. Well, are you happy? Then it's you. If you are ecstatic with your life, wonderful, you're doing great. If you're not feeling the joy in the journey on a regular basis, if your life isn't expansive and you're not excited about it, then it's for you. That's so many people are just, like you said, getting through on default mode. I think of it as the whack-a-mole. Whatever comes up is what we're dealing with, one thing at a time. We're on defense instead of playing offense. We never get the ball. Yeah. It's creating what we want instead of dealing with what, it comes at us. That's the difference. But I want to get into your steps because I loved it. The first step is, first, you'll get clear on your desires so you can celebrate, activate, create, and live your deepest desires and dreams. Knowing what you want creates confidence, and the shit you can accomplish when you step into your true self will blow your mind. Love that.
So our brains are wired for survival, right? There's a part of your brain that is here to keep you safe, comfortable, and expend as little energy as possible in case you have to outrun that saber-toothed tiger, which doesn't exist anymore, right? We don't live in that type of world anymore. And so anytime we begin to think about doing something that really lights us up, right? We're listening to what our soul is yearning for. And when we do that, we often have creative ideas. We see ourselves in a different way. We want to achieve other things or be different in our lives. And that survival part of your brain is going to shut you down because it has no point of reference. And it thinks you're going to die when you do something that you've never done before. So part of coaching is really learning how to manage your mind. And as you do, and you really begin to step into the fullness of who you are and embrace confidence, self-confidence, which, by the way, you have already, you really can accomplish stuff that will blow your mind.
It's trusting it. It's being in that space and trusting it. It is that leap, taking that leap, and you're worth
it. Trust is big. Trust is big.
And the second one is you'll learn to disrupt all the BS you've been believing and finding your and find your badass. And by BS, I mean the beliefs and stories you've been telling yourself about who you think you should be. This, girlfriend, is the secret to what's possible in realizing your dreams. So we started with you get clear on your desires, and now it's disrupt all the stories and the crap that we told ourselves.
Yeah, it's everything that mean girl in your head is telling you. And none of it is true. Well, let me rephrase that. What you believe is true for you. And you have the power to think something different, to feel different, and to create something different. It takes awareness and the willingness to step into that, because it's going to be uncomfortable. It will always be uncomfortable. Discomfort is the pathway to your dream.
Well, anytime growth is, that's why they call them growing pains. It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes. If it was easy, everyone would do it. It's a matter of, and it doesn't mean that it's not. Oftentimes it is simple. It's just, it's consistently readjusting the sails sometimes, because we've had programming that was a lifetime long that told us A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And we're realizing that that story may not have been the correct story. It was just the story of the person that told it. And they did the best that they could with what they were told, what they were taught. And we get a choice. Do I accept this story, or do I write my own?
Yep, exactly. And coaching is about writing a new story for yourself.
And step number 3, you'll lighten up. You are here for the adventure of living life as only you can, in your own unique way. It's time to put down the need for life to be a struggle and allow yourself to be playful and have fun. You'll find more satisfaction in taking action, and even a willingness to fail.
Yeah, I for me, a good portion of my life was spent being so damn serious about everything. And that seriousness came out of a lot of what I'd been taught and trained up in. And over time, I realized how much of that was just fear, afraid, and control, wanting to control things, because I was afraid that things would go wrong. I was afraid people wouldn't like me. I was afraid I wasn't doing the right thing. I was afraid I'd make the wrong choice. And the more I lightened up, the more we can lighten up and be playful. And this is an adventure. We came here for this. And yet, how many of us go through our day sort of in this commiserative state, because this is wrong, or that's wrong, or this happened, or that happened? We very rarely give ourselves props. Think about, in the moment, what is the thing I can be joyful for right now? What are the great things about my life? What do I love about my life? Because the more we focus on what we appreciate and what we love, the more of that we invite into our life.
And we get the choice.
It is. Everything is a choice. Even not making a choice is a choice. You chose not to make a choice.
And that's what New Thought is all about. It's choosing again. It's simply choosing again. And we get the opportunity, we really do, every day to make these choices a bunch of times a day. It's just a question of, sometimes it's putting in the safeguards. It's reading positive things. It's affirmations. There's a bunch of tools that can be used. Yeah. And I wanted to show them your book, 3 Secrets to a Kickass Life. So I love that, empowering women to live their dreams. And that's available on Amazon.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So again, 3 Secrets to a Kickass Life. Tell us about your book.
Yeah. So that is really, that was fun. That was play for me. And it came out of a workshop that I had done for a while. something that I don't do right now. And it's really all about what we're talking about right now. So what do you want? What's your dream? What do you desire? How do you disrupt the BS? And then how do you dare to take inspired action? How do we, and this is what I would think is really key. How do you envision yourself? So for 2022, what's your intention? Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the world? And for so many of us, we're waiting to be that. We're waiting for more money or more time or the relationship or to be thinner or prettier or healthier. There's something we're waiting for to do it. But honestly, you can be that person right now in this moment by being really intentional with your life and sorting through the BS, the beliefs and stories that are telling you otherwise. So
and I would just put that up to, this is your workshop this coming Saturday to let people know.
Thank you. Yeah, talk about being intentional with your life. So a lot of us set goals for the new year, myself included, and goals are fabulous, but they're not enough. Because you need to support that goal with who you intend to be and how you want to feel. And so for me, intentions come before goals, and they're kind of like putting gas in your car. If you think of your goal as a destination, something you'd like to get to, intentions are the fuel. Because if you're heading somewhere to a destination by car and you have no gas in the tank, you're not going to get there. Or it's going to be harder to get there. You might have to walk, it'll take longer, maybe you take the bus or whatever it is. But intentions really are the desired state of being that you want in your life and that help fuel your dream, because they keep you in the present moment, where goals typically are future focused and they're often external or materially focused. Intentions bring you right into the present moment. Who am I being right now? And am I being who I want to be on this path to my goals? Because it's not about achieving the goal, it's about who you become along the way.
Very true. So people can go to this specific, you can go to LaineBlais.com/intention-2022 and that will take you right to the information, as well as it'll take you to, it'll give them the opportunity to sign up as well.
Yep, registration's there. It's Saturday morning, this Saturday, the 15th, so short notice, but it's 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, and it's a 2-hour session, and it promises to be amazing.
So it is, you know, we get a choice in what we do, and this is your invitation. So it is truly possible for you. And again, this is Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time. So on the East Coast, where we are in Rhode Island, it's this coming Saturday. So
yeah, and it is virtual by Zoom. So
wherever you are, it's all possible.
You can be in your jammies with your coffee.
Love it. Love it. There's so much, you know, and you have a lot of information for anybody that is thinking about coaching. I encourage them to go and take a look at it. I love this as well. On the other side of coaching, you feel comfortable in your own life because you're in charge of how you live it. You know what you want, and second guessing is only a memory. You're free to reclaim, reset, and reinvent yourself and your life as you wish it. You don't make excuses anymore for not having the things you want. You either have them or you don't want them anymore. Best of all, you confidently embrace this more expansive, beautiful, and powerful version of you. So, you know, it is so important to remember or learn, because some of us, it's not remembering. Some of it's a whole new concept. You know, wherever you are, you start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We we often get caught up in setting sort of an ideal for ourselves and measuring against the ideal. So we measure ourselves in the gap. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to go. I'm not there yet. I have so much to do. I don't know if I'll ever get there. I don't think it's possible. When we're in the gap, we're doubting ourselves. When we look at the game, when we come from the present moment and allow ourselves to look at where I am today and how far I've come and what I've gained, I can see that I am on the path.
Absolutely. And we're choosing the path constantly. So if there's something that comes up,
moment by moment.
if there's something that we decide, nope, okay, you just seek alternate route, just like the GPS says, and we're so stuck sometimes in the old ways. I have a nephew he's 25. And when I tell you, I laugh, he's like, well, I've been doing this for so long. How do I change jobs now? And I laughed hysterically out loud at him. And I felt a little bad. I was like, why are you laughing at me? I'm like, you're 25. I've done 5 things as long as you've done that one job. Are you kidding me? But that's how we feel sometimes, that, well, I've been doing it this way for so long. You can begin again in anything, whether it be a career, relationships, whatever it may be. We can choose again at any moment.
Yeah, and again and again. I think that's so important to know. I can remember as a kid having to make choices and thinking I would have to live with that for the rest of my life, or getting in trouble. This will be on your permanent record, kind of thing. And really, none of that matters. It's who you are now and where you'd like to go. It is all doable. Is it easy? No, because of that old program, and those subconscious beliefs. There are a lot of things that stop us. If you really want to move beyond that, hiring a good coach will help you get there. Absolutely help you get there. Because we will reflect back to you everything that you say.
Because it's like plucking out the weeds of doubt and insecurity. It's the old stories that don't fit anymore. Dreams do not have expiration dates.
No.
We may have target dates on goals, but dreams and goals don't have expiration dates. It's not too late to be what you might have been. Start now, start again, and you get the opportunity. We have someone at the Boston CSL that is just such an inspiration to me. Her name is Barbara Epstein, and she just turned 80. And she's starting a new music ministry with her. She's a practitioner, and she actually was licensed when I was licensed 3 years ago. And imagine that she just got licensed a few years ago, and she's starting a music ministry. At 80. And if you see this woman, she barely looks, you'd think maybe 60s. She looks great. She does everything. She's more than capable. And she doesn't act old in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, she's not.
Right. It's a state of mind. It's a state of being. This is making me think of a client I had who was starting a business, and she was very passionate about this. For personal reasons. And we had a call one day, and she was asking me, or telling me really, she was doing all of these things to try and build a foundation for this business. And she said, I just want somebody to give me the roadmap. I just want to know how to do this. I want somebody to give me the rules. And I thought about it just for a second, and I said, so this is your business, right? She said, yeah. I said, well, why don't you make up the rules? Because we're so ingrained in the way we think things should be, we often don't think about what's possible, what's beyond what I think, right? How do I get out of what's predictable, which is the past, and really step into possibility. That one, she stopped for a minute and said, "Oh, I can make up my own rules." And she was off and running. It was one of the most memorable moments for me in recent times coaching. And it's just the power of shifting your thought just a little bit, or asking a different question. Instead of, why is this happening? What is this telling me? What is this calling for? Who do I want to be in this situation? There's so much that we can do that most of us, and I include myself, have not even begun to tap into yet.
It's so important that we have an outside perspective in life. Some of us are blessed to have wonderful friends that aren't just going to tell us what we want to hear. They'll actually say, well, this is what I'm hearing you say. But most of us don't have that in our lives. Not everyone is friends with people that get it to that degree or don't know how to see them differently. And even if we did, those aren't the people that we want to hear from either. They're not going to be as, unbiased. They're not going to be, we need to find people who we trust that can help us find our way someplace else.
Yeah,
because if we already knew how to do it, we'd have done it.
We'd have done it by now. That's right.
We circle in our own roles that we were given most of the time, and we circle and we circle. And if we knew how to have different, we'd have already done it. And it's not just us. That's not individual. That's all of us. We all need help sometimes. And it helps us get a higher perspective to just step back and say, oh, okay, my next step is this. And that's no one that's going to do that step for you, but they can help give you perspective of where you are on the map. If you don't know where due north is, it can't help you. A GPS knows where you are and directs you, but it's not in the car. It's not, it's not looking at things the way you're looking at things. It's somewhere else bringing it to you. And sometimes we need that outer perspective so that we can find that inner guidance. Because then that's what it's all about too, is taking that bigger picture, going within and finding that power to do it. Like you said, that intention is the gas. Well, it's also within us, that divine power, that presence, that love, that whatever is propelling you in your purpose is within you. But sometimes it takes something outside to help us recognize it on the inside.
Well, we are all here for one another, are we not?
We're all just walking each other home, right?
I love that Ram Dass quote. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, definitely.
And we are here also to inspire each other.
Mm-hmm.
So find what inspires you. We tell people all the time, what do you choose to be? What is it, and we get the opportunity to choose again and choose again and choose again. And this has been wonderful. One of the things I want to talk about, just mention before because it's been a quick hour, I'll tell you, it's moving fast. But you have a blog, and these are all pictures they all have different blog entries that, this is the art of drawing without an eraser. Be bold, be brave, use all your colors, make mistakes, say yes to the adventure of being alive. And you actually have an article on that. That dream was planted in your heart for a reason. That's another one of your articles. And I just encourage you to go to ElaineBlais.com. You are not your circumstances. You are your possibilities. That quote from Oprah Winfrey. And you have such wonderful postings there. And I encourage people to go to your website, ElaineBlais.com. And this is how to get in touch with you. So if anybody wants to email you with personal questions or anything at all, it's Elaine@ElaineBlais.com. And again, I'm just going to mention this weekend, you have a workshop, and that is called
Intention Setting 2022.
There you go.
Get intentional with your life.
Absolutely. And that's via Zoom. So people can find out more about that on this particular page. And, it is a gift to be here. Is there anything else you want to share with people about being intentional, or as we're
Mm.
closing up, any final thoughts that you want to share?
I was thinking about something you said earlier, that when you decide to be yourself authentically, that some people won't like it. And this is very true. But for those of us like myself who really are people pleasers, this is a tough place to be. And those are the things that sometimes keep us going around in circles. So, support is incredibly important if you really want to overcome that need to please, the perfectionism, the procrastination, that all comes with needing approval to live your life. Because the only approval you really need is your own. And you are actually doing a service not just to yourself, but to everyone by living your best life. Because when you do, that Marianne Williamson's quote, it's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. But when we step into ourselves authentically, we really give everyone else permission to do the same. So don't be afraid to get support, really. And I think as pleasers and perfectionists, we often, and you spoke about this, Gina, we are often think we have to do it all by ourselves, that getting support is a sign of weakness. And none of that is true. Those are more of the BS that's swirling around in our heads. Really, stepping out of your comfort zone and getting support takes courage, and it is a radical act of self-love.
Absolutely. And I also love that Marianne Williamson quote. That's my favorite quote.
Me
And
too.
it's the whole thing. I love that whole thing. It's so important that we support each other and see and comment on the good stuff we see in each other. So if you have friends that are starting something new, encourage them. If you have friends that have wonderful gifts that they're not using, encourage them. And if you have wonderful gifts that you're not using, encourage yourself. Find and create that. Just because you don't have friends that support you that way now doesn't mean you can't. It's never too late to have that supportive network of people that are there for you. So keep looking. I know I found it in spiritual community, CSL centers. I know, as well as Unity and all the New Thought centers, especially spiritual centers, can often be a wonderful community to find that support in. So if just because you don't have it doesn't mean you can't or won't. It just means that you're striving for it. And it's not about making it, it's about attracting it. And that's the gift. Everything you need is within you. And it's opening up to that and living and setting that intention to attract what it is that you need. Because that's what we're all about at New Thought, is thinking something new and living something new. So I thank you, Elaine. It's been a wonderful and such a quick hour. Thank you for being here. And Darlene says community is a safe haven. Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gina. This has been a real treat. And you're right, the hour flew by.
It's so much fun. We're going to have you back. Definitely, we're going to do this again. And I am knowing that your weekend workshop's going to be amazing. And really take a look on her website, and there's so much good stuff there, and your blog. People can sign up for that as well.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that you can reach out to me as well. Find me on Facebook, either under my name or CSL Greater Boston, Gina at cslboston.org. You can reach out to me at any time. I'd love to hear your thoughts on topic ideas or anything at all. Know that we are here on this network because of people just like you. We are here, and we appreciate everything that has, that you have done for us to be here. So I encourage you to, just go to ntmedia.org. Here we go. And click donate. This platform is all good news all of the time. And we have so many more shows coming to you this year. So know that should circulate that good and click donate. And we are here, and take a look at some of the shows coming up. We can go to ntmedia.org and find the schedule, but there's so much good here. We have prayer time 8:15 a.m. and p.m. and I want you to remember that we are here praying for you. There is a team of people on this network that is always available to know your truth. So reach out to us and know that we are here and love you and appreciate you here at New Thought Media Network. So until next week, find the joy in the journey. And, if you're not finding it, find someone that can help. Know that whether it's the network itself, whether it's a coach that's wonderful like Elaine, reach out to us and know that you are never alone. You are absolutely loved.
Mm.
So until next time, blessings and love. Namaste.